Three. Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to have our academic discussion. As a part of our discussion, the ones joining us today are Adrian. Hi, Adrian.
Yes, me. Hi,
Rita.
Miss.
Nick.
Hi, Miss.
Megan. Grace. And Michelle. Okay. Our discussion for today is social media good or bad for you? Michelle, what is your take on it?
Social media is a good for me because it's a recent year survey. 50% of internet users surveyed say that they hear about the latest news via social media before ever hearing about it from the news television channels. So, for the example, many internet users will see the breaking stories on the feed and go to the news site to learn more, such as Line Today News help us to know a brief information like warning over the increasing water level in Bogor last evening.
I see. What about you, Megan? What is your take on it? Do you agree with Michelle that information is given off first on the social media earlier, much earlier, so you're more up to date? What do you think?
Agree with what Michelle has to say, that we can get information from social media, but in that same in another argument, we can also argue that not every information we get from social media is true, because there are opinions that are not based on a research or anything. It's just based on the opinion of the person itself, and so it can really influence the idea of others and even mix with facts, and that can be a hazard in the future.
I would like to add to what Megan said. Misinformation and fake news is inevitable. There will always be people who's gonna look for capitalize on social media distribution method, which social media is. And there will always be those people who will believe anything they read and not look further into finding out what they read. Because I personally have definitely experienced like my parents sending me these articles about certain things that's probably not true.
Grace, do you have an opinion about this?
For me, social media is also good for us, because in this growing pandemic, when we don't know when things will end, we use social media every day to connect with our friends and families, and we also use it to hold this meeting right now, and we use it for school as well. And right now, all we can get from outside and news about the development of corona or the vaccine are only from social media. We can't get it from anywhere else.
To add to Grace's point, I see social media as a positive as well, and it's due to social media being one of the main platforms helping people actually reduce mental health. According to the University of Missouri, users who use social media tend to connect with others and do not experience anxiety or depression, mostly because according to them, if it is used in the correct way and not abused, social media may help those feeling down or those feeling depressed actually being more motivated because they are able to connect with their friends. They're able to reach out to those who are more socialized. And yeah, so from my point of view, social media helps to actually help other people's mental health instead of actually downgrade them.
To respond to what just Grace and also what just Adrian has said, I do not agree with what they said because according to Dr. Bono, he said that if we use social media very oftenly, and I think it will cause mental health such as anxiety and depression, and to also discuss about the interaction between people and the human interaction if it was online. According to my research, an influencer with a famous influencer called Stina Sandler, she said that uh, by using online social media, she experienced fear of missing out since she was looking at her social media, and she feels like she has been left out when she uh, saw a story of their friends hanging out without her. So I think the impact of online social media is also negative since it could also increase mental health such as anxiety and depression, and also the fear of missing out and being left out of a community or a group.
Yes,
I have.
I
Sorry,
I
you go.
agree with
Well,
what I agree with what Nick said. I think that idea connects to some self-image issues that many young people are experiencing because social media is a place where we can freely post content, right? And through these posts, they post what they want other people to see. And some people might compare themselves with what they see in these shortcut edited moments and have unrealistic expectation. Chamath, who's a former Facebook employee, he explained how we basically curate ourselves around this perceived sense of perfection because we get rewarded with short-term signals like, for example, thumbs up or the like buttons and hearts. And we conflate that with value and truth when instead that makes you feel more empty and vacant than you do before because it brings you to this vicious cycle where you're like, now what should I do? Because I need to get that like back. I need to have more likes than before.
I would
um,
like to.
okay.
It's okay, Adrian. You go ahead first. It's okay.
I see it in a different way, in respect to the others' opinions, because according to the UK Mental Health Foundation, it's undeniable that online technologies can be used to actually reach the most vulnerable of people around the world. Because if you take a look back on social media and on online platforms, um, it's actually a simple equation. If you don't abuse it, then you won't get abused yourself. Meaning that when you actually overuse social media and use it in a negative way, it becomes something negative. But it also I see the positive side of it, which is basically um, doctors and other teenagers, students, or even adults using it to actually reach out to communities who are, let's say, for example, being racially abused, or communities who are actually being oppressed at different times. So I see it in a different way, supposedly, because I think that with social media, it actually helps people's well-being. Even though I don't disagree with if you overuse social media and it becomes a bad thing, because it does. It creates anxiety, it creates depression. But on the other hand, it's also invaluable to the health of people, meaning that some people actually rely on social media to cheer them up. Some people actually rely on social media, as Grace said, to collect news, to collect data about the surrounding environment.
Yes.
Although I agree with what you have to say, you said that um, we can use social media to reach out to people, to make new friends, to be a part of a community that we feel like we belong when we feel so distant with what's around us. But I have to say that social media is filled with strangers. You only know so many people, and to know more people means you need to connect with strangers. And strangers uh, can you don't know what they want to do or what they mean to do.
Yeah. What are the intentions?
So they
Right.
yeah, so they can manipulate, or maybe if they want to do something good, they can. But most cases is that it can lead to cyberbullying, stalk, hack, and in the beginning, they will give a sense of friendliness to who they're talking to, and which will give dopamine to those who feel lonely, and so it will create a sense of addictive. They will make the victim addictive, and which can lead to mental illnesses again, and even suicide.
uh, I do agree with what just Megan has said, because with this online world, uh, everything was tend to go as online. For example, like our online school and stuff, and therefore the rate of cybercrime has also increased, because according to my personal experience, I also my my mother has was her social media account was being hacked for something, was such a crime where my mom was being blackmailed for money, and also my sister's social media account was being hacked also for blackmailing for also for money. So I think that in this modern era, in this online and era, the rate of cybercrime and also cyberbullying uh, was
That's some good input, Nick. How about you, Grace? What is your take on this whole thing?
I see it in a different way. Although it's true that social media, we can't ignore that social media also has its negative effects. And as Nick had said, his sister's Instagram account got used to blackmail others because it got hacked. And as Megan had said, it might also increase the rate of depression and gives a sense fake of relief. But I think that to add on to what Adrian had said earlier about abused children who seek shelter outside of their homes through social media, it is sometimes it is more important to it's better to trust strangers rather than people you know who hurt you. And your closest friends also starts from strangers. So you have to start from somewhere. And according to Pew's Research Center, the rate of abused children who can find shelter and new homes are rose up to 43% in the recent years. So they can live a life free of their family abusers due to social media and the people who use them. So I think in this case, social media helps more than it hurts people.
Uh, I might add to Grace's statement, and based on what Nick and Megan said, um, I I agree with what Nick and Megan had to say about how social media is used negatively in a way, and honestly, I don't agree with and I agree that it is dangerous to make friends with strangers in a way as well. So I think Grace was quite wrong about that. But I feel that what I'm trying to say is basically that social media is both. Social media can be good and social media can be bad. So it's basically only upon your perspective and how you see social media and how you use it. For example, if one uses social media to stalk people or to hack people, of course, it's a bad way to use it. But if you use it to actually support people, to actually reach out to people, to actually start conversations with new people, um, it's actually beneficial for your own mental health, because especially in this time uh, or in this particular pandemic where we're stuck inside, we're forced to um, stare at our screens all day, and it may be very useful to actually have friends on social media that can help connect with us and can actually talk to us on a daily basis.
I agree with what Adrian say because of course, everything, there's always two sides to everything. But to add on to what Nick and Megan said, for cyberbullying, I think there's so many cases of it, the and that's because the perpetrators of bullying, they can take advantage of the anonymity that social media provide to gain people's trust and then attack them. And these online attacks are seriously dangerous to mental health because, and the worst part is that these people are able to gather others to join their cause or hatred against people or institutions. And because of the anonymity, people seem to be bolder and more apt to attack others behind their screens.
Yes, and uh, to add what just Rita has said, there's this viral uh, viral case yesterday, few days ago, where one university held an online orientation where the seniors were somehow uh, uh, punishing the juniors for not wearing a uniform belt. And the way they did this online orientation was very cruel and very uh, their words were very harsh and very hurting the feelings of the juniors. And I think that uh, the choice and the decision of holding online orientation and also other stuffs is, I think, uh, is not very suggested.
What about you, Michelle? What do you have to say about it? Do you agree with Nick or any of your friends? Right. We have not spoken about how social media affects young ones. Uh, what are the positive implications on them? And I'm thinking to myself, social media is uh, everyone is allowed to access it, right? How does it affect young children, like if they're 9 or 10? What do you think? is it more towards a positive implications? Is it positive effect or more towards a negative effect? What do you have to say, Grace?
I think social media can lead to a better understanding of the world when exposed to at a young age, although not too young of an age. Just like how Twitter has a minimum age of 13 before you can access it, I think there is an appropriate age for everything. And like how the social media Tinder has a minimum age of 18. It depends on what news or what things you're looking for in each social media. So, for example, the Google Classroom is technically a form of social media, and we use it every day to go to classes. And while Twitter, we can use it to connect with our friends and to look for news in a more fun way rather than looking at news sites or reading newspapers.
I will disagree uh, to what Chris has said because uh, if the young ones were access social media and and the social media itself is a very wide platform where all people from all around the world can use the social media, and I think the influence was very toxic in this social world because people uh, people's attitude was very different from one another, and maybe the culture from the other countries is different from us, so we may find it their culture is very unusual compared to us, and their culture can also somehow hurt our feelings, such as uh, their choice of words and also their actions. And also to add to the age policy of the social media accounts, I think the young ones, the age policy can be also abused. Like for example, the young ones can also lie about their age. For example, if Grace has said that the Twitter account was minimum by 13 years of age, the young ones can also lie of their age, and also they can choose that they were already 17 years old or also 18 years old. And this age policy and this action was uh, we can uh, we can prevent it because it comes all from the individual's attitude and honesty.
I agree with what Nick has to say, but at the same time, I also agree some points from Grace is that there's an appropriate age, but they can also hack it and say that just change the year they were born and they already have access, which I believe most kids are doing right now. But um, in that sense, so they can have access to any social media, and especially Twitter, as you mentioned, right, Grace? You mentioned Twitter, which is one of the social media that people post to say out their opinions, which are opinions. Um, they can be biased, they can be stereotypical, they can be prejudiced, and which will affect other people's opinions, and that can create riots and other arguments, is which the small tiny children have not developed their own their own their own thought and their own judgment and stand, so they're just easily flown according to what they're reading, and so which can be bad.
I see.
To add to what Megan and Nick and Grace has said, um, I believe that what they have said is on one side is true, but again, social media, as you guys have said, is a very wide platform, and from the research I have read, it also says that teens to young adults are the most impacted among the people who access social media on a daily basis. And the way I see it is that social media is actually a source of inspiration, if you want to say that, or even a source of happiness for some kids, because some kids who do not have friends, or some kids who have special needs, or some kids who are in a bad mental state at the moment usually tend to go to social media to maybe seek refreshments, or to actually scroll to see maybe the different posts of different genres they like, such as maybe sports or maybe music or maybe anything of that kind. And I think that actually helps the kids to actually reduce their stress and um, help them enjoy life better.
All right.
I will.
Yes. Go on, Michelle. Yes, Michelle.
I will add that awareness of social media is really important among us, like how parents guide they, their young kids
Yes.
on social media. Yes.
But how should they guide them? What are the steps that they should take, you think?
Um, Such as parents have the times to access on social media, playing games,
They should limit the time.
limit the time. Yeah.
I would like to add that recent technologies, phones and applications and sites have also integrated the children lock system. So the parent can control what their children are watching and what their children are playing until they are of certain age so that they can understand better rather than when they are too young to understand anything.
Sorry to interrupt, but what if their parents were, both of their parents were also busy, for example, for their career and works and stuff like that, and who should who should uh, limit the kids, and what should the parents do to help limit their kids from the social media? Because most parents now in this pandemic era, some of their parents also find an extra job to also support their financial state. I mean,
That's a good question, Nick. Can anyone answer?
I think it's still the responsible of parents how good they are to manage their time with their kids.
Yes, they should know how to prioritize, right? They should know their priorities as parents. Right. Yes, anything, Grace? Right. All right. Now, if we can conclude for today our conversation, um, Michelle, can you conclude for us what we spoke of today?
In conclusion, I think social media has both positive and negative effects, but it depends on us how we use social media properly.
All right. Can anyone add on to this?
Yeah. as we have mentioned, a few positive and negative points of social media. It still doesn't justify whether social media is a good or a bad thing. The impact obviously can be positive or negative. It can make the world a better place, or it can cause disintegration among people. But in the end of the day, I think we need to accept the fact that social media has become a big part of our human life, and that impacts really depend on how the users use or abuse the social media itself.
All right.
And also to add to the conclusion, I think I had one solution. Uh, if we were using too much, if we spend too much time on social media, and we feel like our mental health and our physical health was affected by social media, I think it is best to take a break from social media because because based on uh, a musician's experience, uh, he took a break from his Twitter account from every social media, and he admits that taking a break from social media is helping him to a beneficial factor, such as he could think a lot more of the outside world, and he could also spend a lot of time with his families and friends.
Um, to add to everybody's conclusion, I also believe that social media has two sides to the equation, and the way I see it is if social media depends solely on how you use it. So basically, if you abuse it, then it ruins you in a way, and if you actually use it beneficially, it can help you and your mental state.
All right. If there is if there's no more addition, then we'll have to close our discussion for today. Thank you very much for participating, and I'll see you guys next time.